morning, everybody. My name is Amber, and I am the custodial supervisor here at the Akron Zoo. And today we're going to talk about our Big Hanna composter. Every day, our team goes around in our vehicles and collects trash. And part of that trash is our animal waste. And they will come in, and we have a large scale right here. And it will weigh our product. And we put it in our shredder, and then we put it in our Big Hanna. In about 6 weeks, we get our compost. So we're going to show you how we do this process every day. We have compost that takes carbon and nitrogen. So our carbon source is sawdust. So we have a graph that our team uses based on the weight is what we put our sawdust in. So if we have 20 pounds of compost, we put in 5 pounds of sawdust. So today we have, how many pounds? 55. Today we have 55 pounds of compost that we're going to put into our Hanna. So we actually have modified our Hanna. The standard model of Hanna is just in here. So we modified her to fit the needs of the zoo. So we have an auger and a shredder because we have big animal bones, like from our carnivores, that will go through Hanna, and they can't feed through here. So we have to shred them up first. So we got this big shredder, and it'll come up through the auger, and then we'll put it into Hanna, and then we'll see it again in 6 weeks. But much more broken down. So what we do is we have a control panel on Hanna. Where we enter all the information. This is also where we can check Hanna's temperatures. Anyone who knows anything about composting knows that the temperature is very important. If it's not hot enough, the material is not going to break down, and it doesn't destroy all those bacteria or anything like that. We do have bacteria inside Hanna that helps break it down. That's good bacteria. All the other stuff, when it comes out nice and pure. So our temperatures right now are pretty good. We want the temperature at the beginning to be a little bit lower, and then coming out the end we want it to be lower, indicating that there's not much more food left for our bacteria. So we like the temperatures to stay right in between that 150, 160 range for any type of heat. It also kills any type of pathogens or anything like that that could be on the material. So when we go to feed Hanna, we would put in
Just kidding. Secret.
So then we would put our coat in, and we open her up here.
More secrets.
One minute, technical difficulties. Oh, that's okay. I went the other way. Alright, so then once we have the coat in, unlocks the system. We have the system locked because we can adjust temperatures, times, airflow, anything on here that we need to. So this is where we would enter in our pound and our sawdust. As you can see that we've already put in that information, and then we would hit, and now she starts running up. So if you look in here, you can kind of see it through there. We have our grind is starting to pull in, and as the material comes in, that material is going to be pushed up through into Hanna.
It's a little hard to see, but if you can see, there's those things moving in a circle.
Here, I can get you guys a good look. So all of our doors on Hanna have a security catch on them, because this machine is actually pretty dangerous. So anytime we take anything off of any of these contact points, she'll actually stop so that none of our team can get hurt. So that's what she looks like inside. You can see the auger and the grind user. They're going to pull up all the material into Hanna. And then once I put this back on, she starts back up again. Because Hanna does rotate every hour. And sometimes when we have to do checks, if she's rotating, we still have to open her up. She will stop as we open her up. So we're going to run Hanna. I'm going to go up top, and my coworker Amara here, she's going to run the bottom for us. Because we have to make sure right down here where the shredder drops, sometimes it gets clogged up in there. So Amara's going to be down at the bottom. We have emergency stops on top here and over on the panel where Amara's going to be, in case there's any type of situation, like if a bottle or anything accidentally gets into the grinder, we can hit the emergency stop button so nobody gets hurt. So when we do run Hanna, we call one of our managers to let them know that we're running Hanna. So that's just so that they know that we're running Hanna, because it is pretty dangerous. So we use a PVC pipe, and the reason that we use this pipe is because if it gets caught in our shredder, it's going to start to break apart, and our team can let it go easily so that they don't get pulled into the shredder with it. So we have all kinds of safety catches with our machine. These red marks here let our team know where the shredder teeth are. So we're going to turn on the shredder right now. This is what we have in here today. We have a little bit of watermelon, some straw, and some looks like a little bit of carnivore waste in there too. So we're going to turn it on here in a minute. And then we just push it in. As we get that material to go through. Sometimes we have to turn the auger off because we have so much material coming through that we have to let the smaller auger catch back up. So we do need 2 people here all the time just to make sure that it's not getting backed up and nobody's getting hurt. And then once we're done with the shredder, we'll call our facility chief and let them know that we are done running Hanna. Up. So Amara's going back and forth, making sure that it's all going through at a good time so that that section over there does not get clogged up. So this is a big version of Hanna. There are smaller versions, and that's why they have that catch. Like if you're just doing like cafeteria food, you can just come in a big bucket and just dump it right in there. We use the shredder because of the
Amber, are we able to put plastic into Big Hanna? Plastic.
Plastic? No, we do not put plastic in Hanna. There are times when plastic does get through Hanna, and it does come out at the end, basically how it went in. It just looks a little bit lighter, essentially. The heat takes all that pigment off. Sometimes our gloves get through, and sometimes we put in an entire PVC pipe, but it does come out through the other end, and we try to pull it out of our compost.
What is the difference between composting and recycling?
Composting is using materials that have organic materials like yard waste, animal waste, and putting it back into a system. So we'll compost it all down. If you follow me over here, I can actually show you some of our compost. And we reuse it. So you can put it back into the earth, whereas recycling, you're taking materials that cannot be put back into the earth, like plastic bottles, and, silverware, or plastic utensils, stuff like that, and taking it to a place where they can break that down to reuse it for something else. So this is the compost that's coming out. So all of what you saw that went in is going to come out and look like this. And then this is, once this gets full, we go take it to a pile where then our horticulturists will use it in the park. And then here is contamination. This looks like a glove. So we will take this out where we can, and we will put it in our recycling. Every now and then our compostable silverware from the cafe will come out. It doesn't fully compost in the 6 weeks, but it's safe to leave in because it will break down eventually.
So all of the paper products that we use in our cafe is compostable.
Yes, everything that comes out of our cafe can go into our compost. And in the park we do have our 3 bins set up where we have recycling, compost, and trash fill. So anything that's organic can go into compost. Anything that's plastic or anything like that can go into recycling, and then everything else goes into our trash. And then we take it to our landfill. Alright. So now that we've done the feeding, we do have to, if you've probably noticed that we have 3 doors here on Hanna. This allows us to see inside of Hanna. Now we're going to give it a minute for her to finish rotating, because she has ports on the 1st and 3rd door where we can check inside and make sure the process. Once she's done spinning, we can check those ports.
So what part of the parks do we use the compost?
Mostly where we're using our compost is in the garden areas or in our garden beds. So our horticulturists will determine, they take samples of their soil and look for pH levels and things like that, because our compost, being a animal carnivore waste compost, has a higher pH level. So our team knows how to mix that compost to make sure it goes into the ground go, so it doesn't kind of burn plants. Because if you put too high of a pH level on some plants that have a lower pH level, you can burn them. But our horticulturists know exactly how to use it.
Is it stinky?
It is not. The compost is not stinky. When it first goes in, it does have a smell because it is animal waste. But as it goes through the process, it comes out as basically dirt. So it doesn't have a scent. I have my gloves on now, but you can pick up the compost without gloves on, and it doesn't. It just feels just like dirt.
Oh, what if the pH is too high?
With our compost, our pH level is going to be pretty much how it is. We can do a few things where we can adjust what we're putting in with our sawdust, or we can try to change our airflow or stuff like that to try to get that pH level lower. But with it being a carnivore waste, our pH level is almost always going to be high. After we let the compost mature in our piles, it does drop a little bit because some of the organics from the ground come up in it. So our team will mix it with some of their horticulture supplies and bring that pH level to what they need it to be.
Will it harm the animals?
It does not harm the animals.
So you keep mentioning carnivore waste. What exactly is that?
Carnivore waste is lion poo, jaguar poo, or snow leopard poo. Any of our carnivores, when they have their waste, it's very high in nutrients because of what they eat. And we also have bones from their leftover meals that go through. So typically a compost pile is going to be vegetables and things like that that are slowly breaking down and has a pretty neutral pH level. But with all the stuff that we add, we also have some yard waste that goes in, like leaves and sticks and stuff like that.
Did you know there's biodegradable plastic silverware made from avocado pits?
I didn't, but that's pretty cool.
Oh.
Speaking of biodegradable, when our keepers are collecting all of the carnivore waste, they actually put them in bio bags, biodegradable bags that we actually put directly into Hanna so that nobody has to actually handle any food.
And just so you know, Laura, we do use compostable silverware in our cafe. So all of our silverware that we use is not plastic, it is compostable.
Even our cups are compostable. Sounds like she stopped. Let me get my key. When we open up Hanna, she does have certain gases and things that can be damaging to the body, so I have to put on a mask and my goggles, and I do have a headlight that I put on in there. So if you give me just a minute, I'm going to put my PPE on. And Mark's already ready for me.
Some of our sawdust that went in there.
I don't know what this is going to do for my...
It's going to go right to facilities chief. Big Hanna is fed.
Always make radio calls for safety so somebody knows that we are feeding Big Hanna, and then when we are all done. So Amber is currently working on getting all of her PPE on. And this is PPE that we use no matter what. So even without a pandemic, we are always putting this PPE on when working with Big Hanna.
And I'm going to try to talk real hard through this because I know it's going to be a little bit muffled. So what I'm doing when I check these ports is there are 2 airflow filters through Hanna. And I need to make sure that they're not clogged. Sometimes we can tell if there's an issue with the airflow just based on the temperature. So if the temperature's real high up front, it's probably because that airflow is clogged up. So what we do is we open up these ports, and then right here is just, this is the first section. This is about maybe a week or so into the process, because right over here is where it's going to be coming in. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to check. We want to make sure the moisture is not too high. Because if it's got too much moisture, the process is going to be a little bit off, so we add a little bit more sawdust. We can add sawdust directly into the mix, but we don't usually like doing that. So the reason I have this mask on is because I actually have to stick my head in here to check this port. So it is clear, and you know, sometimes we find, you know, this looks like a rag, so we do pull things out. So this side's pretty good. This is something that I do weekly. And our compost is very important to us, so we do these checks weekly. And while I'm in here too, we have these wheels. I just make sure that these are still good to go, so because we don't want this to fall off of its axle. Now on this side, our compost is almost done. It's right around, probably the 5th, 6th week. It's almost about to come out. So there's usually some compost on the back of these ports that drops off. So you can see that this stuff is a lot more broken down and a bit drier as it comes out. So same thing, there's a port in here that I got to stick my head in here. So she's all good in there. So as she rotates, the compost will turn, and it just comes out of the chute right here. So there's no type of mechanical piece or anything in there that actually forces the compost out. It's just the quantity of compost inside the cylinder pushes out when it's done. So if we ever have an issue where there's no compost coming out, we know that she's not full inside. We've had that happen before, where we had a sensor was messing up and it just kept rotating. So there's a lot of things that go into Hanna, but the outboard product is worth all the work that we put into it. So I'm going to close up these ports and get out of my PPE.
So Amber, why is having a Big Hanna composter really important for the zoo?
Having a Hanna composter helps our mission of our green practices, where we had an issue where we saw that we had all of this material coming out of the zoo, and we had the ability to compost it, but we needed to figure out what to do about it. So we have all of this material coming off, and instead of sending it off to landfills or anything like that where it can harm the environment with the gases, now we have our Big Hanna where we're putting all of this, everything that comes out of the zoo, back into the zoo. And Hanna itself contains all those gases, and it's not getting into the atmosphere. And we have a nice, clean, renewable source.
Okay. So that is Big Hanna and her process. So next we are gonna meet a couple of animals that resemble what Big Hanna does.
Hi, woo. So my name is Autumn, and we are talking about Big Hanna, who makes compost, and this is a decomposer. So this is a really important animal. This is a giant African millipede. And believe it or not, they can get a little bit bigger than this. They can get to be probably about as big around as my thumb and up to about a foot in length. So they can get pretty long. These guys are incredibly important to the environment in that they eat a lot of the vegetation that falls to the forest floor. Now they'll eat this stuff, and as it passes through their body, it comes out in the form of poop. But that poop is really important. It goes in and it adds nutrients to the soil, so they are really important for breaking down large organic material, primarily plants, and returning that sort of energy and nutrients back to the soil. So they're incredibly important for that. Now this is a millipede. They are a little bit different than a centipede. You can see that this animal has body segments. I'll bring them into the sun. It might be easier to see him that way. And you'll notice that these segments down his body, he will actually have 2 sets of legs for each body segment, or 4 legs total. You can kind of see they kind of move in a wave pattern, and they will molt this exoskeleton as they grow, as they continue to grow. Now, one day I do have to admit I was incredibly bored and decided to count the body segments and multiplied that by about 4. And so what we find is there's usually somewhere around 270 legs on an average size millipede. So not quite 1,000,000 legs or 1,000 legs that a lot of times we think about. So they do have eyes. You can see his antenna moving around. His eyes are located just behind those antennae. So he will be able to see, not great, he's gonna rely on those antennae to kind of feel around and find his way around. He's checking out my hand right now. And as he does that, he's gonna be looking for food possibly, or a place to kind of hide. They love to dig down into the dirt. And these guys are native to Africa.
So where would somebody be able to meet a millipede here at the Akron Zoo?
So our millipedes are often in our Animal Ambassador collection. So you might find them at our Learning Lab when it's open, or they might come out to visit you at a school or some type of program that we would do. You can't often just find them in a habitat here at the zoo that we have for display for you guys.
Do we breed and reintroduce endangered American burrowing beetle? They're important decomposers too.
They are, and unfortunately right now we're not doing that process. I know some zoos are involved in it. That is a good one, but we don't have those beetles here at the zoo. All right, so we're gonna let you meet one other animal. We have, let's see, Sarah and I are going to do a handoff. Thank you, Sarah. And this cutie pie, oh, where are you going? He wants to hang out up here right now. So this is Andy. And Andy, let me turn around so you can see his face. Andy is a guinea pig. Now guinea pigs, you're like, why in the world would you have a guinea pig when you're talking about compost? These guys have a very unique habit. So they produce actually two types of fecal material. And one is your true fecal material, it's poop. The other one isn't really fecal material. It's got this really crazy name. It is, I can't even pronounce it, but it's a certain type of poop is the best way to think of it that is produced. It's very different than his other poop, but that is designed to actually be eaten again. It is softer than the regular fecal material. It may be a little slimier, but it's important that they eat that a second time. It's called caprophagy, and several animals will do that. So babies will eat their mom's poop, that type of poop, and it is important in getting those important bacteria into their gut. So we talked about Big Hanna, and Big Hanna has to have a certain balance of bacteria inside of her to process all of that organic material. And Andy here needs certain bacteria in his body to help him digest the foods that he eats. He eats primarily vegetation, and so when he eats that certain type of poop, the bacteria stays in his gut that helps him process that. He'll also be able to get all the nutrients out, some of that, the grains that didn't fully digest, as well as vitamin B and vitamin K is in that. So it's important that they do that. Sounds kind of gross, but it's actually a cool way to make sure that they are getting the absolute most nutrients out of the food they eat. Now, these guys are native to South America, and they were domesticated over 2,000 years ago. They're one of the earliest domesticated animals. They were domesticated by the Incas, and unfortunately not because they're so cute. They were domesticated for food. Yes, the same reason we domesticate chickens, but a lot of people decided that they're so cute that they would make a good pet. They can be a good pet, but it's really important to do your research to make sure that you're giving them everything that they need to be able to survive.
He was talking, but it sounds like he stopped.
He did. He had a few things to say. They actually can make a lot of different vocalizations. They can do a little sort of squeaking sound. They can do a sound that almost is like a purring, and all sorts of stuff, and it means different things.
There he goes. Can you hear him?
Oh, I stopped talking and he stopped talking. Here we go. Do you need... There.
He's being nice and quiet.
He is. There we go. Got a little bit of him to talk.
So if guinea pigs does not eat the special poop, do they get sick?
They can. They can actually suffer from malnutrition, and they're not going to get all of the important vitamins that they're going to need. So it is important that if you do have a pet guinea pig, they will often eat it directly from the source. Trying not to be too gross here on a Tuesday morning. And if you see that, if you have a pet guinea pig and you see that, just let them do their thing. It is important for their nutrition.
He's really chatting.
He is.
Andy is saying that he misses everyone and can't wait to see you back at the zoo.
Yes, Andy is ready to see visitors back at the zoo. We're ready to see you back at the zoo, just waiting for that final go-ahead. We're making all of our last preparations, so thank you very much for joining us today. Joining Andy. Andy's saying goodbye too. He's got lots to say today. Thank you so much for your time, and hope you have a great Tuesday.